location, the Air Missouri Club, Jamaica, Queens, New York. The event, Joe DeGuardia's Star Boxing, a great night of fighting. A light heavyweight match between Scott Lopeck, a tough southpaw, going up against Ricky Nelson. I'm Stu Taylor. I'll be doing the blow-by-blow, and joining me tonight is Steve Farhood, boxing writer. Steve, great to have you here. And three-time world boxing champ, Dangerous Dana Rosenblatt. We're going to look at Scott Lopeck, a tough southpaw. What do you look for in this light heavyweight fight, Steve?
Well, Lopeck's been in with a better competition than Nelson. He's beaten some pretty good world-class fighters, including Tyrone Frazier and Kevin Pompey, even Maurice Harris, a much bigger fighter. Lopeck's 35 years old. He's won 2 in a row. He has to win this fight. It's the proverbial crossroads fight for the lefty from Long Island.
Okay, and let's look on the other side of the ledger. Ricky Nelson, who you've seen fight. We've done a couple of his fights, Dana. A tough kid, a light heavyweight. What does Ricky Nelson have to do to make this a competitive fight?
Well, in seeing Ricky Nelson in person against Gabe Hernandez in his last fight, Ricky Nelson comes out and he gives everything he's got. He's a guy who fights you. He's a face-first fighter. He's a pressure fighter. And he's a guy who's going to try to wear down Scott Lopeck to the body, try to establish all of his offensive weapons, get underneath Lopeck's punches, and try to make this fight a fight right up through the whole 10 rounds. And we'll see if he can do that tonight.
All right, we'll see if both fighters can do it. We've got lots of boxing action straight ahead. All right, coming in right now for the main event, Ricky Nelson, the blue corner from Bronx, New York. And as he enters the ring, he comes in with an abundance of fights, a tough fighter.
Good luck, gentlemen.
All right, down the music, thank you very much. We appreciate that. All right, keep playing the music, thank you.
Like the rock star.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight's show, as you know, you heard the announcement. Yes, you heard the announcement a few times already. Joe DeGuardia, Star Boxing, and Havoc Promotions joined together to put on this fine show tonight. We would like you to meet both promoters that are in the ring right now.
All right, coming into the ring is Scott Lopeck.
Louis Torres,
174 pounds in his light heavyweight fight. He's out of Floral Park, Long Island. He says he likes to put on pressure. He's got he's a better fighter than his record shows, as he commented on.
I'm just going to go in and box him, and if I can reach him early, like if I can find him, I'm just going to start throwing hard right away. If I have trouble timing him, I'll take my time a little bit. I'm sure he's thinking the same.
All right, let's look at the tail of the tape. Ricky Nelson, his record is 6-8. He's 36 years old. His hometown, Bronx, and a big following here. He's weighing in at 170.25 pounds. He's in the blue corner. In the red corner is Scott Lopeck, 19-6. He's got 12 KOs. 35 years old. He's out of Floral Park, Long Island, weighing in at 174 pounds and muscular 5 feet 9 inches. And we're ready to go right now to ring announcer Sandy Reddick. the introduction.
Ladies and gentlemen, Havoc Promotions, in association with Joe DeGuardia Star Boxing, takes great pleasure in presenting to you at this time the main event, the feature presentation of the evening. All of the bouts were approved and sanctioned by the New York State Athletic Commission. Melville Southard is the chairman, assisted by our 2 deputy commissioners in attendance this evening, and they are Steve Acunto and Bob Manji. The director of boxing is George Mitchell, and they're also assisted by Supervisor Ralph Petrillo, Bob Limerick, and Ray Locascio. Thank you all, gentlemen, for being here this evening. And your judges for the main event of the evening are as follows: John McKay, Tony Paolillo, and Bob Gilson. Your timekeeper, Kathy Paolillo, and the alternate referee who will be counting for the knockdowns is Pat Sullivan. And your ring physicians remain the same this evening, and we thank them for being here. Dr. Rufus E. Sadler, Dr. Michael Strauss, and Dr. Ralph Baum. Your referee for this main event of the evening, ladies and gentlemen, is Arthur McKente. Okay, here we go. Let's introduce and meet the principals. The young man in the blue corner, he's wearing blue trunks. He weighed in at 170 1/4 pounds. He hails from the Bronx, New York City. Let's welcome Ricky Nelson. And his opponent in the red corner. This young man is wearing purple trunks. He weighed in at an even 174 pounds. He hails from Long Island's Franklin Square. Let's also welcome Scott Lopeck. This bout is scheduled for 10 rounds. It's in the light heavyweight division.
Good evening, gentlemen. You both received your rules by the New York State Athletic Commission. I'd like a nice, clean fight. Touch gloves. Good luck to the both of you.
Stu Taylor.
Thank you, Arthur McKenzie.
Stu Taylor at ringside with Dangerous Dana Rosenblatt, Steve Farhood. We've got an exciting light heavyweight match. Scott Lopeck against Ricky Nelson. Joe DeGuardia's Star Boxing, New York boxing rule, standing 8 count is not in effect. 3 knockdown rule is in effect. The fighter cannot be saved by the bell in any round. The doctor or the referee can stop the fight. 3 judges score in a 10-point must system as both fighters come out to the center of the ring. And this, this should be a great fight. Steve Farhood, your comments on both fighters here.
Well, Scott Lopeck's a veteran from Long Island. I've seen him fight many times. Southpaw. He's got some big wins on his record. He's beaten Maurice Harris, who's a world-rated heavyweight. And Lopeck, of course, only a light heavyweight. He's also beaten Kevin Pompey, who's a world-class fighter, and Tyrone Frazier. So Lopeck has been in with a lot better fighters than Ricky Nelson has.
Yeah, and Dana and I, we've done a couple of Ricky Nelson's fights, and he's a crowd pleaser. He goes in there and he gives it his all.
Absolutely. Just gauging by his most recent fight, his last fight against Gabe Hernandez. Gabe Hernandez, a world-ranked super middleweight contender. Ricky Nelson gave him a fight. You know, he pressed the fight the whole night. He countered. He landed body shots. He landed hooks. He was fairly effective in that fight against a real top-notch Gabe Hernandez. One thing about Ricky Nelson, he comes to fight. And I guarantee tonight he's going to give Scott Lopeck the best he has.
Well, there you go. An exciting light heavyweight match as we are at a packed house at the Amazura Club in Jamaica, Queens, New York, and an animated crowd, and it just heightens the level of anxiety and excitement here. It's great to be a part of it. Round 1, Scott Lopeck against Ricky Nelson.
Really, it's going to be interesting to see how Nelson deals with the southpaw stance of Lopeck, and if Lopeck really accentuates that southpaw stance, whether or not he's going to attempt to move to his right and land his jab, land his hook, typical southpaw weapons.
What would Dana know about being a southpaw? Are you guessing, Dana?
All right, we're coming down. We got less than a minute left in round one. Fairly even fight here in round one.
The old rule for, I guess, for Ricky Nelson, he wants to keep his lead left foot outside of Lopeck's lead right foot
to avoid the strength.
That's at least the formula, Dana. Is that correct?
Absolutely, and I'm sure that many times throughout the course of this bout, we're going to see these guys step on each other's lead foot. Lopeck's right foot on Nelson's left foot and vice versa. I'm sure we're going to see that many times. Always happens in fights with southpaws and orthodox fighters.
And as you said a million times, Dana, styles make fights, and we've yet to see what the style matchup is on this one in a somewhat cautious first round. Okay, we're approaching the end of round one, and that's it. Round two about to begin. Scott Lopeck and Ricky Nelson, and joining me right now, we have the pleasure of joining Dana and I, is Jeffrey Resto, an exciting favorite here in New York. He's 8-0 with 5 knockouts, a welterweight, 1996 New York Golden Glove champion. And Jeffrey, a pleasure to have you here. Dana and I have done a couple of fights. You're an exciting fighter. Tell us about your recent fight and your recent win.
Well, thank you, Hank. Yes, it was a very exciting fight. Stopped the guy with a left hook to the body. And, hey.
Jeffrey Resto is a very exciting young fighter. I was in attendance at one of your more recent bouts, and I was amazed when I walked away. I said, boy, this kid, he has fantastic combinations. He's fast. He has defensive skills. He really has a total package, and I commented to a few people that I had never seen you before, and I was very impressed when I had seen you, and they said, oh yeah, this kid is for real. So you've got some good things coming up in your future. What are you looking forward to?
Well, my next upcoming fight is January 17th. Whoever I fight, I'm coming to win 100%, and hey, whatever happens, happens.
Right, you're moving along quickly. Do you feel you're moving along at a good pace? You're being managed and trained well, or are you eager in your anticipation of moving up in caliber quickly?
No, I think I haven't been moving up so fast, which I wish I will soon, and hopefully I could just, be a champion sometime in the future.
Well, I'm sure you will, and we wish you a lot of luck, Jeffrey, and feel free to comment as Ricky Nelson and Scott Lopeck fight here.
Hey.
What do you think of this fight here tonight between Ricky Nelson and Scott Lopeck?
Well, it should be a good, interesting fight. Best of luck to both guys, and it should be an interesting fight for the fans.
What do you think about the southpaw stance? You think that's going to give Nelson a tough time?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. But Ricky looks well prepared, and I hope he has a lot of oxygen in his tank.
He does look well prepared, and he's the kind of guy who's very tough. He seems to always be able to get through an opponent's offensive weapons and eventually get in there and land his body shots. Really, because I think that's his game. Wouldn't you say?
I think so. Yeah.
You fought several times, I think, on the same card with Ricky Nelson.
Yeah. Yes, I did.
So you're familiar with him. Have you seen much of Scott or anything of Scott Lopeck?
Not much. Yeah, he looks like a tough guy. Should be a very good fight.
Opening up a little bit, a little reddening on the left side of Ricky Nelson's face. Yeah. As both fighters are in close quarters.
We talk oftentimes about the talent that comes out of the state of New York, and you look to the Golden Gloves program, and in 1996, Jeffrey Resto was the New York State Golden Gloves champion, and many fighters before you, I'm sure, were New York State Golden Gloves champion and future world champions. Mark Breland, just to name one of them.
Coming to the end of round two, and Jeffrey Resto, real pleasure having you join us this evening. Wish you great luck in your upcoming January 17th fight as a part of Joe DeGuardia's Star Boxing. Good luck.
Okay, thank you very much.
Hey boxing fans, come out for live boxing. Joe DeGuardia's Star Boxing presents Rockin' Fights. For ticket information, go to starboxing.com or ticketmaster.com. See some of the best young fighters. Star Boxing, Rockin' Fights, it's a knockout.
All right, round 3 in a scheduled 10-round light heavyweight fight at the Amazura Club in Jamaica, Queens, New York. Stu Taylor, along with Dangerous Dana Rosenblatt and Steve Farhood, and we've got a pretty competitive fight here, Steve. Ricky Nelson and Scott Lopeck.
Yeah, I think it's been very competitive. I don't think either fighter has imposed his will on the other or imposed his skills on the other. If anything, Nelson's impressed me with his high energy. He's coming forward, making the fight, and I think he's letting stronger punches go.
Is this surprising to you, Dana?
Not really surprising. I had an idea that Nelson would come out, try to be offensive-minded, try to get to Scott Lopeck's body, and I think he's done a bit of that. Lopeck is really looking to pick his punches and take his time and, you know, be somewhat methodical in his attack, and I think he's done that, yet Nelson has most definitely pressed the action in this bout.
Dana, I have to ask you, consider this segment of the show the education of a boxing writer. And you can explain to the fans, too. Why is it that against southpaws, jabs are usually so ineffective?
Against southpaw, simply because the right hand, typically by a good southpaw, is held high. And when that right hand is held high, it's very difficult for the left jab coming from the angle that it comes from to land to the face of the southpaw. If a southpaw is able to accentuate that and hold that right hand up even higher, unlike what Lopeck is doing right now, hold that right hand just up a little bit higher, he can oftentimes jab right over the left hand of the orthodox fighter. Not really complicated, and it always has seemed to work for me and for many other southpaws. Southpaws that look to utilize their southpaw stance in addition to that by moving to their right, to their opponent's left, in an unorthodox fashion, where usually you have two orthodox fighters that are circling around. Here you have a situation where Lopeck wants to be moving really to his right, which is to Ricky Nelson's left in such a way as to make Lopeck, as he just did right there, get to the side of Ricky Nelson, and from that angle, he's going to be able to land that jab.
As he just did right now, Dana.
Good call, Dana.
You called it. And I was just about to say that Nelson was doing pretty well, going both to the head and the body, going downstairs and going upstairs, and here he is, moving it again, not to let Lopeck take advantage of the situation that Lopeck just created. Round 3 of a scheduled 10-round light heavyweight match. Joe DeGuardia is star boxing before a packed house at the Amazura Club in Jamaica, Queens, New York.
And you know, I was talking about Golden Gloves champions Jeffrey Resto, Mark Breland. Well, I guess we'll revisit that next round.
Okay, and that is the end of round 3. All right, round 4, and we are here at the Amazura Club in a light heavyweight match, a 10-round fight between Scott Lopeck and Ricky Nelson. And as this round gets underway with both fighters coming out throwing punches, let me just announce that Joe DeGuardia's Star Boxing will have a great card on January 17th at Yonkers Raceway, featuring Jeffrey Resto and Robin Wiggins. All right, a lot of action here. Round 4. Each fighter striving to take advantage. Any insight into what either fighter should be doing, either from you or Steve or Dana? Just jump right in.
Well, I think Lopeck, based on what he did last round, has begun to gain a little bit of control. Nelson is still coming forward, but Lopeck's boxing has been a little more effective, and he had a good flurry. He missed most of the shots, but he had a good eye-catching flurry earlier this round.
He did miss most of the shots, and he did.
All right, let me just throw out a number here for that fight, January 17th at Yonkers Raceway. Joe DeGuardia, Star Boxing. For tickets and information, call 718-823-6600. That's 718-823-6600. Round 4 here at the Amazura Club. Ricky Nelson and Scott Lopeck.
Lopeck is definitely taking his time. He's trying to make Lopeck miss. He's moving around. He's using his southpaw stance right now, as we alluded to in the previous round, that Lopeck is moving to his right. He's getting around Nelson to the point where he's able to hit him at the time that he makes the turns. He's doing a good job.
As a southpaw, Dana, what gives you the most problems? Right hand leads?
I'd say, yeah, right hand leads. Well, I don't like right hand leads. I don't like left hooks.
Yeah, I was going to say, you like jabs, you like uppercuts.
Prefer not to get hit with any of it.
Well, Nelson's doing some punching, some infighting, a lot on landing, but some iron. It certainly looks good. Oh, he's down near the belt. You got to get those punches up, Ricky Nelson, as he's hammering away at Scott Lopeck.
Lopeck doing Nelson a favor, though, when he's stationary, because Nelson squares up, and all of a sudden, Lopeck's not a southpaw.
Well, Lopeck's back right now, Steve, and he's connecting upstairs.
This is where he's effective. He's effective. Lopeck is most effective in the center of the ring when he's moving to his right, moving around Nelson. Nelson just doesn't seem to have the agility and dexterity to catch up with Lopeck as he's punching and moving.
And guys, both of you, watch this, because this is a 10-round light heavyweight fight. They're going at a pretty fast pace here, and fatigue could be a factor as this fight moves along.
Could be a factor, I think, only for Nelson, because Lopeck seems to be completely in control of himself, in control of his pace. Doesn't look like he's the worse for wear at all in terms of the pace he's set.
Oh, we're approaching right the end of round 4 as Lopeck connected with a solid left. We'll be back with more action right after this.
Can't get enough of Joe DeGuardia's Star Boxing? Download the Star Boxing TV app or check out our Roku channel to watch exclusive content and classic fights. Every punch, every knockout, every screen. The Star Boxing TV app gives you exclusive access to every moment of Joe DeGuardia's Star Boxing. Available on Apple, Android, and Roku. Just search Star Boxing to get in the ring.
All right, round 5 in a pretty even match. I keep asking you, but I want to see Dana and Steve. How do you have this scored so far?
I have a 2-2.
I got a 2-2.
You have a 2-2 too?
Yeah, 2-2-2. That's a 2-2.
No, I've got a 3-1.
4?
Lopeck. Lopeck, I think, is doing a masterful job of outboxing him. He's doing exactly what he wants to. He's taking his time. He's throwing his punches when he wants to, and yes. I don't think the attack of Ricky Nelson is really bothering Scott Lopeck.
Steve, what does Dana know? He's only a boxer.
Hey, maybe I'm a little biased to my fellow southpaw.
Well, I definitely think Lopeck's won the last 2 rounds clearly. He's landed some pretty heavy left hands, and that's been enough to carry the rounds.
Lopeck landing a solid left, and this may indeed wear Ricky Nelson down, who may not be as well conditioned as Scott Lopeck, but determination and will figure in here, and sometimes that overcomes any physical liability. And Nelson just keeps hammering away.
He's hammering away with a few low blows.
Yeah,
in there.
right.
Hey, good for him. If he can get away with them, then
Dana, shame on you. Shame on you.
Yeah, these two fighters really have to watch their heads. They've been fighting at close range, and their heads seem to be just missing one another.
Seems Nelson is determined to square up and fight Lopeck on the inside. Vito Antifermo once told me, I think he was fighting Alan Minter, a southpaw, and he said, when you get them on the inside, they're not southpaws anymore. Right. Meaning if they square up, you know, there's no advantage to being a southpaw. I think that Nelson knows that, and I think he's most comfortable when he's smothering Lopeck.
That's right. You know what? But I don't think I agree 100% with Antifermo. Yeah, they're not southpaws in terms of the movement and you know, the stepping on the feet. Although you can't step on the feet on the inside. However, a southpaw is throwing uppercuts, throwing hooks, really from a different angle, even on the inside. And though you can negate some of that advantage, I think that even if Lopeck really takes advantage of the fact that he's throwing his uppercut from Nelson's open side, he's going to loop his left cross from Nelson's right side, which I'm sure he's unaccustomed to. He's going to be able to land those punches, and he's done just that. Look at the right uppercut of Lopeck. Let's watch Lopeck land this right uppercut that he's going to land pretty soon here on the inside.
I don't care what you say. I love Ricky Nelson's music. I always have. competitive fight, two light heavyweights giving it their all, and this crowd appreciates it as round 5 comes to a close.
Hey, boxing fans, come out for live boxing. Joe DeGuardia's Star Boxing presents Rockin' Fights. For ticket information, go to starboxing.com or ticketmaster.com. See some of the best young fighters. Star Boxing, Rockin' Fights, it's a knockout.
Round 6. Stu Taylor here at ringside with 3-time world champion Dangerous Dana Rosenblatt and boxing writer Steve Farhood having a great time. This crowd is into it. These fights are competitive, and you've got to give Joe DeGuardia and Joe DeGuardia Star Boxing a lot of credit for putting on another great card.
It's not only a great crowd for the audience at home, but the fans here are really enjoying themselves. They packed this arena. I can't believe there's this many people here.
That's what club boxing's all about. Energy in the crowd, the fighters selling a lot of the tickets, their fans and friends and family out in the arena, and that's what this building's all about, the Jamaica Arena.
And that's what I love, Steve, when I look at that and I see the charm, and I look around and I see people standing in back. That tells the story.
You know, a lot of the casinos get the bigger fights, but as Dana can attest to, having fought in many casinos, the crowds sometimes are dead. Now, not when Dana fights, because you sell a lot of tickets
don't
to
be
Foxwoods.
defensive.
No.
Did you notice how he covered up?
They love Dana and Foxwoods, but a lot of casinos, Atlantic City casinos, I've been to fights, world championship fights, where you can hear yourself talking. Because the fans are all high rollers, they're not boxing fans. Everyone in this arena is a boxing fan.
Oh, you've got it. It's a great New York crowd.
And it just doesn't have the feel when you go to a casino like that and you're watching a couple of guys that are brought in from some other place.
A warning for Ricky Nelson.
When you're watching two other guys from some other location fight at a casino like Atlantic City, it just doesn't have the same feel as we have here.
Exactly.
I mean, these two guys are from the general area, and they've brought their family, they've brought their friends. These people are out, and they're really supporting these fighters. This club show feel that we've got here is really reminiscent of the 50s, 40s, 50s, 60s. You know, that was the great era of boxing, and Joe DeGuardia with Star Boxing here is really bringing that back. It's nice to see.
Round 6, very competitive fight. Scott Lopeck against Ricky Nelson, and this fight is not easy to score, I'll tell you. It's very competitive.
Yes, it is.
Oh, really?
You see the lead left hand on Lopeck.
Yeah,
he's
doing that
back
this
with
round.
The jab.
Yeah, this round he's landed a lot of lead lefts and carrying the round just on the basis of that.
That's right.
Lopeck just creating a little bit of distance by stepping back. Kind of a cagey southpaw tonight, and it's working.
And Nelson throwing a lot of punches. You can't discount him from this fight.
Lopeck just can't get too lax. I know that Nelson doesn't have the one-punch power. However, if he lands a few good combinations, he could really get some momentum building. And Lopeck does not want to let Nelson have that.
Approaching the end of round 6, Scott Lopeck and Ricky Nelson. Round 7. Ricky Nelson coming out firing again. There seems to be a repeated pattern to each round. Not necessarily resulting in the same scoring for each round, but there seems to be a consistency. Do you follow what I'm saying, Dan?
I think it's dictated by Lopeck's offensive weapons, his defensive movement, his ability to step around Ricky Nelson. Really set the tone of this fight and is making one round look just like the last.
Any big surprises from your standpoint, Steve, so far?
Not at all. Lopeck's doing what he has to do. You know, he's not the fastest guy in the world. He's not the tallest light heavyweight in the world. But he's got a lot of subtle skills, and the fact that he's a southpaw compounds the problem for Ricky Nelson. But I don't think Nelson at this point has enough power in his shots to down or take out Lopeck.
I think that's Ricky Nelson's real problem.
And it's going to be tough for a guy like Nelson to win by a decision in a fight like this.
Really, I think, Steve, fighting at this weight, Ricky Nelson has the power in terms of the power, his problem in terms of the power that he lacks.
There's a flurry of punches by Lopeck. Nelson comes back, bullying him, pushing him up against the ropes, staying inside, holding on. I will say that there's no Andrew Gallardo in either of these fighters.
Nice move by Lopeck there. Got cornered, spun out. As Dana said before, he's best in ring center. See him holding. He does what he has to do. He's very consistent in his effort.
And there's the movement.
I still maintain, Steve and Dana, that this is a little difficult to score. Now, you can snap right back and say it isn't. I still think Nelson's getting some of these punches through and making this a competitive fight.
Well, he's applying the pressure, yet it's not necessarily effective aggression, which these judges are supposedly scoring.
I like that. Effective aggression. I like that.
See, there you go. There's a nice right jab. The southpaw uses the jab, as Steve and I were commenting on before. It's very difficult for the orthodox fighter to counterattack, even with his own jab.
Really nice boxing by Lopeck. One round he uses straight left hand leads. This round he's dominating with his jab. He's showing a lot of different stuff.
We're approaching the end of round 7 in a great light heavyweight fight.
Can't get enough of Joe DeGuardia's Star Boxing? Download the Star Boxing TV app or check out our Roku channel to watch exclusive content and classic fights. Every punch, every knockout, every screen. The Star Boxing TV app gives you exclusive access to every moment of Joe DeGuardia's Star Boxing. Available on Apple, Android, and Roku. Just search Star Boxing to get in the ring.
All right, round 8, I have Lopeck up 68-65. Steve, Dana, how do you score it?
No argument for me. I have Lopeck up. I've given him the last 5 rounds. I have him up 3 points.
I have given Ricky Nelson only 1 round.
Well,
you do the math, Stu.
Okay, well, I told you this was a tough fight to score because you and I have been unanimous on a lot of fights.
Right.
But you know what the bottom line is? Lopeck so far, but Nelson's still in this fight.
Yeah, he's doing a nice job. And I wanted to ask Steve a question at the end of the last round from a boxing writer's perspective. Really, how do you see the boxing that Scott Lopeck has put forth thus far? I mean, do you say that, well, it's not really all that crowd-pleasing and it's not really all that exciting and it's not the kind of performance that's going to move him into a title shot or to be a contender for a world championship?
No, I don't think the fans don't like this style. I think he's doing enough punching. You know, he's not running around the ring. He's doing enough punching. And also, contrasting styles make good fights for the fans. You know, Ricky Nelson is a face-first pressure fighter who wants to fight on the inside. And Lopeck is boxing him, and that makes for a good fight. I think the fans appreciate that.
Steve, if you don't mind, with all due respect, I'd like to take that same question and ask Dana, because that's part of the strategy of his fights to come out with a W. How do you feel about that? Ask yourself the same question and answer.
Well, I think that if it was a situation where Lopeck was fighting his fight and Nelson wasn't a face-first pressure fighter, and he didn't apply the same kind of pressure, yet Lopeck mounted his sensible, conservative attack, well, I think that would be nothing but sensible on the part of Lopeck and exactly the mode of attack that he should put in place. I think that makes perfect sense for him, even if it's not pleasing to the fans necessarily, which is sometimes a difficult scenario.
Yeah, you have to do what you have to do. You know, if you're good enough at it, even if you don't have a crowd-pleasing style, you can make a lot of money and win a lot of titles. Look at Pernell Whitaker.
That's right.
Well, yeah, but you know, honestly, I might disagree with you because I still think Pernell Whitaker had a certain flair and an air of a champion.
That's true.
When you get someone a level or two down, part of it is they've got to impress the promoters, they've got to impress the crowd in order to advance on. Nelson with a good shot, bullying Lopeck. A couple of those punches are getting to be borderline, and that may be the fatigue factor setting in where those arms just aren't up high enough. But Lopeck countering as we move into the final stages of round number 8. Lots of action. There has not been a dearth of action. 5 seconds left. We're almost at the end of round 8 and another good competitive round. That's it for round 8. We got 2 more to go. Don't go anywhere. That's the bell for round 9. Stu Taylor at ringside at the Missouri Club in Jamaica, Queens, New York. Joining me, boxing writer Steve Farhood. I've said that 3 times.
No one gets my
Farhood.
name right. That's all right.
God, I got to get that right. I'll work on it, Steve, I promise. And Dangerous Dana Rosenblatt, 3-time world boxing champion. And this is a fight that is really a great fight to analyze because there's a lot going on here, a lot of subtleties and a lot of deep analysis as opposed to a one-sided fight where it's easy just to say this guy's jabbing, hooking, throwing uppercuts, and the other guy doesn't have a chance. Each fighter here with a little different style, doing what each one does best. And that brings up another point, Dana. It's very difficult if a fight isn't going your way to suddenly change your style and become a different fighter later in the fight. It's tough to do.
This is a very difficult thing, and I'm quite certain at this point it's something that if Ricky Nelson could have done, he would have done at this point here in the 9th round.
It looks like a fight that will be going the distance. Nice jabbing on the part of Lopeck. Nelson coming in, being more of a stationary target right now as this fight moves along. More in an upright position.
All right, once again, I'm going to ask Steve Farhood, what would he write about in terms of some people thinking that, well, Lopeck, you know, he could have done a little bit more and tried to knock out Ricky Nelson. How do you see that opinion?
I think that Nelson's a guy who always goes rounds. I think in his mind, Lopeck, who's not the world's biggest knockout artist, we're not looking at Matthew Saad Muhammad here, I think he probably thought he had a long fight in front of him. He landed a lot of his best left hands in the middle rounds. Nothing happened. I don't think he has knockout on his mind. I think he has work, score, win the round, and that's it.
And I want to just interject here by complimenting both fighters on superb physical conditioning, and that is value added when you've got 2 fighters in here who come in well prepared and they don't disappoint the crowd.
And I think, you know, once again, that really alludes to the fact that you can't judge a book by its cover. I mean, Ricky Nelson doesn't look like a real physical specimen. You know, he doesn't look like Charles Atlas, but he's in shape. He comes to fight. He's there to fight for 10 full rounds. And he gives the crowd their money's worth. So, yes, he is in good condition.
Hey, it's fighters like Ricky Nelson who try like they do, who are the bread and butter of clubs like this. You know, clubs like this don't always feature the top 5 in a division. There's a middle class out there, and that's what Ricky Nelson represents, a guy who keeps trying and gives the crowd their money's worth.
What's happening tonight is we're coming to the end of round 9 and a good competitive match. We'll be back.
Hey, boxing fans, come out for live boxing. Joe DeGuardia's Star Boxing presents Rockin' Fights. For ticket information, go to starboxing.com or ticketmaster.com. See some of the best young fighters. Star Boxing, Rockin' Fights, it's a knockout.
Round 10, the final round in a light heavyweight match. Scott Lopeck I have up 88-83 over Ricky Nelson. And I haven't seen anything to change that since we last discussed the scoring 2 rounds ago, and I think Nelson needs a knockout, which is going to be very difficult to get in this last round. But hey, who knows how the judges see it. You see how they saw the election between Bush and Gore. I abstain.
Well, we think we have problems in boxing.
Oh, brother. I'll keep my political partisanship out of this tonight. Okay, both fighters giving it their all in the 10th and final round here, and the crowd is into it. Lopeck opening up a little bit, scoring, but Nelson keeps coming back.
Well, I think it is a wonderful matchup that Joe DeGuardia has put forth here between these two fighters. They're giving 100%. They're really giving the crowd their money's worth.
What I like about Lopeck, and he's doing it again this round, he just got hit by a low blow.
Oh, yeah.
But what Lopeck does, and really Nelson does not have the ability to do, he knows how to get the distance he needs by taking little half steps back to create the right distance for his punches, whether that punch be a jab, a left cross as it was in the middle rounds, or this round earlier, right uppercuts. He creates the distance he needs.
This is a very decisive round, Steve, for Lopeck.
Boxing is all about balance, distance, and position, all of which Scott Lopeck has been in control of all night against Ricky Nelson.
Nelson's really given a good performance here in the 10th. He's not winning the round, but he's leaving nothing in the gas tank. I'll tell you that.
I think he's a very proud fighter.
All right, we're in the last minute right now of the 10th round as we're winding down in what will undoubtedly be a decision. Scott Lopeck and Ricky Nelson, both fighters coming out with a lot of ferocity here in the 10th and final round. This is what the crowd wants to see. They don't want to see anybody coast, and neither fighter has any claim to coast in this last round. Oh, nice uppercut by Lopeck.
There's a wonderful southpaw weapon, that right uppercut that comes from a totally different angle than an orthodox fighter is accustomed to.
And you always harp on angles and the importance of that, how some of these fighters come in.
And Lopeck has used angles all night against Ricky Nelson. He's done a wonderful job.
Southpaws should be banned from boxing. Banned!
Amen! Nice shot by Nelson at the end here.
I'm going to be generous and give Nelson the last round.
All right, that's it. I got Lopeck winning at the end of round 10. We'll have the results right after a commercial.
Can't get enough of Joe DeGuardia's Star Boxing? Download the Star Boxing TV app or check out our Roku channel to watch exclusive content and classic fights. Every punch, every knockout, every screen. The Star Boxing TV app gives you exclusive access to every moment of Joe DeGuardia's Star Boxing. Available on Apple, Android, and Roku. Just search Star Boxing to get in the ring.
All right, we're back, and we're ready to go up to ring announcer Sandy Reddick for the decision.
Down on music, please. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for two rugged, superb athletes. Both of these gentlemen. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. Thank you very much. We have a unanimous decision. Judge John McKay scored the bout 96-94. Bob Gilson scored the bout the same way, 96-94. The third judge, Tony Paolillo, scored it exactly the same, 96-94, for the winner by unanimous decision, Scott Lopeck.
There you have it.
Let's hear it, please, for Ricky Nelson.
I had a 98-92, Dana.
Fine bout. Fine bout.
With that.
I didn't even have this fight close, let me tell you. I'm sitting right next to the judge right here. I don't know what they were watching. This was a dominant performance by Scott Lopeck. He boxed. He did everything he wanted to do. He won this fight. He won this fight without question.
All right, we're ready to go. Let's hold on for a moment here.
No question. Scott Lopeck did a wonderful job boxing and boxing and boxing. Ricky Nelson's
all right, ready to go to Steve Farhood right now. To
unanimous decision win. You just told me about your hand. What happened?
second round, I hit him on top of the head. I've been having hand troubles for the last few years, and I just broke it in September. Feels like it went again. I don't know. It feels like it's broke again. I had trouble throwing it.
You did throw it. It seemed like during the fight, every few rounds you found a new weapon. One round it was a jab, one round it was a left, the 10th round it was a right uppercut.
You know, I was doing that, but the only thing is when I threw the left, I couldn't throw it hard. I just wanted him to see it. I was touching him with it. I couldn't hit him hard with it.
Were you conscious of not letting him know you were hurt with the left hand?
Always. I've been disguising this for 5 years. I was trying to land the to throw the left hand as a decoy and hit him with a right uppercut. I just missed him twice, but he's a good fighter, smart fighter.
He takes a good shot.
Yeah, he's very tough. I never hit him on the chin, but he takes a good shot. He's a tough guy, very tough.
3 wins in a row now for you. What would you like next?
I would like to fight better competition. Obviously, I got to be in better shape. I got to get a little better than I was tonight. But I've been better, and I feel like I'm still improving. If I get this hand healthy, I'll be all right. I want to fight better guys.
Scott Lopeck fighting most of the way with one hand, unanimous decision winner. Let's go back to Stu and Dana.
Okay, thanks, Steve. You heard it. We'll be back.
Can't get enough of Joe DeGuardia's Star Boxing? Download the Star Boxing TV app or check out our Roku channel to watch exclusive content and classic fights. Every punch, every knockout, every screen. The Star Boxing TV app gives you exclusive access to every moment of Joe DeGuardia's Star Boxing. Available on Apple, Android, and Roku. Just search Star Boxing to get in the ring.
We promised you a great fight early, and it sure materialized. Another great fight under the card of Joe DeGuardia's Star Boxing, Scott Lopeck and Ricky Nelson. Scott Lopeck coming out the winner by unanimous decision. And Steve, your impressions of the fight?
Well, Lopeck banned those southpaws. They're too difficult to fight. Lopeck was the cuter, smarter, cagier fighter, and he did it with a bad left hand, so he was a convincing winner.
Yeah, he certainly was. And Dana, your comments on the fight, you know what it's like to fight with a damaged hand. You beat Glenn with the real Beast Brown with one hand a few years ago. You've got to have sympathy for Lopeck. Your evaluation.
Oh, how dare my co-host say ban southpaws. Well, I think Scott Lopeck did a marvelous job. Boxing, boxing, boxing. That was the tale for Scott Lopeck tonight. He moved, he boxed, he threw punches in combination, even with a broken hand. So really, kudos to Scott Lopeck for fighting a wonderful fight, a strategic fight. He did a great job.
Well, he certainly did. It was a tremendous fight and another great card with Joe DeGuardia's Star Boxing.